Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to Channel Your Light, Own Your Intuitive. For those of you who are new here, my name is Erin. Welcome in to those of you returning. God love all of you. It's an exciting time. I don't know if you really felt the uptick in energy, the increase in gifts and abilities, the rapidity, the rapidness, maybe, is that even a word? The rapidness that things are aligning, arriving, synchronizing. It's such an exciting time. So, and it's December. Side note, do the rest of you feel like December just kind of flew by? Oh, I just said December just flew by as if it's already happened. Psychic knowing December's going to feel the same as the rest of this year. Side note, they're just making me feel like we're jumping a little bit ahead of time as a reflection of hindsight prior to you actually being in that embodied state and turning around and looking back. I feel like some of you have been on a roller coaster ride. I really want to dip into the collective energy from January. From January till now has been preparation. And December is a culmination of a lot of prep. So they're saying that illuminations, inspirations, ideas, and I'm hearing one of you has been continually surrendering. A lot of you have been continually surrendering your dreams and your goals into the fires. I'm hearing that this has been such a gift for you because every time you surrendered the form you thought that it would take into the fire, you're gifted back a greater idea that's more aligned with the highest timeline, which you're here to embody. So they're making me feel like those of you who have felt adrift, you're not adrift. You've been gathering, we've been prepping, we've been releasing, we've been up on the roller coaster and we've been down on the roller coaster. We've been aligning you to that which is for your highest good and the highest timeline, which ultimately ends up serving the collective from the highest good. And I'm supposed to, somebody's guides are here, like, this is really important. Your dream is not dying. It was simply, I want to say, getting legs, changing form, rearranging itself so that it was more conducive to be supportive of you, at the same time supporting others. So it's almost like a lot of light workers, intuitives, people who are just here sharing something that they have learned, that they know, that they have mastered or experienced. A lot of these people, whether they're spiritually inclined or scientifically inclined or mathematically inclined, whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. This isn't about the spiritual form by which we outlay different creations. Sometimes forms of magnificent beauties of spiritual creation come through a form that is much more grounded and more structured, that doesn't necessarily appear to be spiritual. However, it contains spiritual energy. This is because all creations contain spiritual energy, because energy precedes all forms. The level of spiritual energy that's contained in each individual creation here upon the earth plane is vastly varied. Some creations hold a level of consciousness that vibrates at a point that it entrains others, it activates others, it empowers others, it shifts them into another timeline. Whereas there are some creations here on the earth plane that have been built, grounded, or exist in an extremely dense level of consciousness. Why are we illuminating this, Spirit? They're saying December is extremely important. This has been a very rare process. And most of you here on the earth plane have been going through it in various ways. Yes. They're saying you needed to have your throat chakra strengthened. You needed to have your solar plexus strengthened. Your root needed to be shifted because your new identity needed to arise. And they're saying it's not a new identity. It's a more fuller identity. Now, I don't know if I may or may not have posted this yet, but I noticed in some of the channels coming through and the messages for you here in this YouTube community, you beautiful souls, that I feel like you guys are really going through it, or you're witnessing people around you really going through it. So define really going through it. Towers, a lot of friction energy. They're pointing out that it's a full moon in Gemini at the end of this week. And although Gemini represents the twins, we wish to offer a different perspective, or one that is more deeply aligned with the narrative of your lives. They're saying that this full moon in Gemini is about the balance. Notice that the twins operate in tandem. They are connected and the collective is connected. They're saying, look at the brain, which is the, right hemisphere and the left hemisphere. Look at the two sides of the body. You have two ears, two eyes. You have two nostrils. We have I'm getting the nadis as well. Pingala, Ida, or Ida, or Ida, however you pronounce it, and the Sushumna, the main central energy channel. They're saying this full moon in Gemini is not just a revelation, but a shifting into an embodiment. And that's why some people will feel like they're going through it. They're not going through it as in a difficult time. They're moving through the shift in the embodiment to align with their identity. It's time for the external world to align with the great growth and transformation the collective has been doing on the internal landscape. This means that all those who have been working towards this, integrating their shadow, exploring their limits and their expansiveness, illuminating, pulling back the curtains to the veils of the self. Those of you who have been opening your intuition, all of you in whatever shape and form you have been growing and expanding, has all been preparation for you. As always, the past prepares you for the future and is the reason that tomorrow even exists. But it happens in this current moment. So they're just saying, breathe a sigh of relief. All is going to be okay, because it always was okay and always will be okay. Is what they're really saying to that. They're also wanting to say that the rapidness or the quickening of energy, and they're showing me Durga with a lightning bolt. This also calls us into a deep awareness and conscious awareness that we think it arises. We feel it. We see it reflected. We sense it. We're able to touch it very quickly thereafter. They're saying this is not just in terms of the short term. They want to go to short term manifestations and long term manifestations. Those of you who have been preparing this year, and for some of you 12, they're giving me the number 12. The last 12 years has really been a prep. And somebody on here, I'm getting 20 years. You've been in this for 2 decades, just really working through all this stuff. And they're saying nothing is wasted. And this is important because those of you who have been preparing, you've been preparing to be able to perceive the long-term manifestations versus the short-term. And this is interesting because I was writing something about this when I was just diving in with spirit into the current energy. And this has to do with short-term manifestations, which create long-term manifestations. But some of you are going to see how something 2 decades ago is suddenly coming into form now. They're saying this is the prep you needed. If it was a year, if it was 8 months, if it was your entire life, side note. Yeah, and our entire life is prep for the rest of our life too. You could look at it in that way as well. So they're almost breaking it down. Let me just see what I wrote down here. I wrote a lot of things down this morning, goodness. Oh, that's what it was. It was talking about flipping the script of living within your means, living within the limits. And the reason why I was, leaning into this energy and just, conversing with my guides and universal wisdom and all that is because I noticed that there was a number of different people coming for different sessions throughout the month of November, where spirit illuminated the same thing repeatedly to different people in different ways. And it was all based on this concept of living within your means. So they want to flip the script, because when we think about living within our means, yes, you want to live within your means, obviously, because if you don't, you're going to feel extreme stress, anxiety, worry. You're going to have lack mixed in there and all those different things. That's not the issue. They're saying the issue of this and flipping the script of this is let's say you want to go somewhere, you want to do something, you want to live somewhere, you want to have something, you want to be able to go have an experience, but you can't afford to. This is the twins, the balance of the mind. They're saying, in order to manifest and bring to fruition into form the harvest by which you are attempting to bring forth through all of your creations here in the collective. Instead of saying, I don't know how it's going to do that, or I can't afford that, that's meant to be an acknowledgement of where you are at in this moment. But most people, my guides are saying, most people take that as what they create their future from, as in, oh, I can't afford to live there, so I have to stay here and I have to look inside or within this limited container because that's what I can afford. And Spirit is saying, you know, to kind of retweak it. I've got Syrian energy here. We want to retweak this because that's very limiting. To address where you are at, to acknowledge in this moment, I can't afford it, or I don't know how that's going to happen. To acknowledge it in this moment is not meant for you to then begin creating in alignment with that limitation or that container, or to maintain that status quo frequency. They're saying you're to utilize it as, this is where I am right now here. So instead of, oh, I can't move there, or I can't move here, or I can't have this, or I can't do that, or I can't go there because I can't afford it, they're saying, tweak it to say, okay, right now I can't afford it. That means I need to create new pathways. How can I afford it? How can I bring more money in? They're saying, if this is you in the present moment, this takes you to 2 different timelines. So they're showing you like streams of light, focused energy, the entanglement that you want to initiate, I guess. They're saying, so notice that when I say, oh my gosh, I can't afford that, I got to live within my means, and you begin creating more repeatedly in the cycle from that standpoint, which is what most of us do unconsciously. Myself, I have done this too, friends. And they're saying, when you flip the script, it's not about changing, living within your means. It's about adjusting your means so that you can live with more meaning, which is in alignment with the abundancy and frequency of you. So yes, we want to live within our means, but if we want to shift out of those limited timelines, those denser frequencies, we need to adjust the meaning by which we are living. So I got Cretan energy, Grecian Epimenides, and the Cretan dynamics that comes out. Side note, I don't know if you guys know this, but Epimenides, who is known as, I guess, a magician or a Grecian prophet. And the fascinating thing about his genre and his bodies of work and his existence here on the earth plane is there is very little that was salvaged from it. Most of it was destroyed. But a researcher did discover that some of his works was actually inserted into the Bible. So just a little side note on there for you. There's a reason why I'm tuning into this energy. I really attune to that specific energy. And oh yeah, so much good stuff is unveiling, unfolding, unraveling, and revealing itself. And I absolutely adore that kind of energy. So just to kind of bring it back, this is like a little side note for somebody. And I feel like, why is that important? Because when you don the lens of spirit, what is not accessible in real time on paper in a book is completely accessible in the universal wisdom, in the consciousness of all things that have ever existed. Why do you think you can all remember past lives? Why do you think you have experiences of deja vu? Why do you think you suddenly open your consciousness, your third eye, your crown chakra, you connect with things and you suddenly have access to information you wouldn't necessarily have before, or maybe think, how could I have possibly known that? This is because everything is accessible through consciousness when one is willing to open to the affinity of it. Okay. So they're saying live within your means is a beautiful statement, and we want to do that, but not to utilize that to create your future day after day, but instead to utilize that to be aware, this is where I am in the present moment, which is now going to open. They're going back to these images here. Thank you, Spirit, for putting me back on track. They're saying to say, oh, I can't afford it, and only continue to look in things that you can afford, and limiting yourself like that is continuing this denser timeline. And I know anybody watching this channel is not here to live out unconscious timelines and to just be half satisfied or half awake. Most of you here watching this channel are beautiful souls, awakening, blooming, empowering, creating from that God source, Christ within, spirit arisen, and all the multi-versions and multi-dimensional facets of you. So they're saying to shift that saying like, oh, I can't afford it. Why don't you say, I can't afford it in this moment, so now I'm going to look at the pathways that will allow me to afford it. It's like opening doors. They're showing me somebody on here. They're saying you needed this message prior to the full moon in Gemini so that you could balance this out. And instead of being negative, instead of holding yourself in this holding pattern, you can actually open the doors to the pathways that will take you. This way, you're not going to stay living within your means at this level and continuing to just keep that containment of a small means, but you're going to address the meaning by which you are living so that you can increase the means, so that you are living within your means, but it's on this grander and grander and grander scale. So let me know if that is helping you in this moment or something you needed to hear, because I got a big bullseye in the room and I've got yes written across the room. I'm hearing all the stars are closer. Everything is aligned. There is an infinite potential and possibility that exists within you to fulfill anything you want. Usually the only limitation is, oh, I'm hearing psyops, is the psyops or the ideas of what you can't do or the constrictions of the forms that are already created. But if you're here as a creator, that means you're in a position of power of choice to choose to create new pathways. In this way, as you expand, the means by which you live is expanded, the experiences get expanded, and just expands and expands and expands and expands. And side note, what an incredibly expansive energy, because not only that, I think Saturn went direct, new cycle. We've been addressing all the things of how we created all these old cycles. How did I get there? Why does this keep happening? That's all been addressed with Saturn in retrograde. And Saturn direct right now is like, I'm hearing this is just a taste, my friend. This is just a taste of the elevated energy that you are going to be riding in 2026 for whoever this message is for. And they're making me feel like you have no idea how good it can get. You have no idea the pathways that are just going to be rolling towards you with this simple tweak in perspective and mindset. And it might take you a couple times to readjust it. That's not an indicator of failure. That's an indicator of retraining, I want to say, or realigning, or reminding yourself of the capacity of the greatness that you have inside of you. And thus, if it is in you, as within, so without. So the consciousness by which you create something is always embedded in it. And for some of you, I have another team of guides here. I have a group of grandmothers or somebody's grandmother. They're saying, if you had have created this a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, the consciousness by which it was created would have been too limited for the scope that it is meant for. You have to trust the unfolding of your life. We're offering you this peek into the future to turn around so that you don't have to wait until afterwards and struggle in the in-between to get to the point of embodiment in the present moment where you're turning around being like, oh, hindsight is 2020. They're saying we're offering you this gift now so that you relinquish the struggle, you forget about all these creations of things of what's within your means and that, and you begin to open to pathways to create pathways so that you can receive. Like, don't you know I'm only getting started? Don't you know you're only getting started? Your guides are only getting started. Spirit's only getting started. The awakening is only getting started. So this is very exciting. Go back to consciousness, they're saying. I'm seeing a balloon for somebody and celebrate. So maybe this is a celebration, an accomplishment. This is like a little mini message for somebody. You need to take some time to celebrate the things you have accomplished thus far, the places you have been, the places you have stood, arisen, expanded, broke through limitations. Celebrate these micro moments, because micro moments create the bigger ones. It's almost like if we wake up every morning, oh, this is so funny. We wake up every morning daily, every day is a new day to encompass something. And then we have monthly. So like I'm recording this on December 1st. It's a brand new month, which means there's a brand new goal, or maybe a furthering of a previous goal that I'm building on. It's an entirely different energy. So I can have this monthly goal, and to fulfill the monthly goal, I can look to the days, each day, or the week. Now they're saying we're coming to the annual goal right now, the opportunity come the end of this month to be able to perceive a greater vision for our lives, greater pathways for our lives, greater means by which we live. And I'm not necessarily talking about stuff. They're saying we're not talking about stuff at all, but that is natural when you are abundant and flourishing and thriving and nurturing the self, the spiritual self, the physical body, the mind, the heart, that it's natural that physical tangible things show up in your world. It's abundance in all its forms. And the message for another person on here is you're safe to be abundant. You are safe to be seen. You are safe to be loved. You are safe to have. You are safe to receive. You are safe to share. They're making me feel like this whole year has been a shifting in your identity, like crises that cause you to feel unsafe. That's what's being reshaped, remolded, and rewired so that you have the confidence, the groundedness, the strength, and I feel like the capacity to hold greater wisdom, greater abundance, deeper relationships. There's just like a shift that's happened. So interesting, fascinating. These are all your new beginnings, and it may look uniquely different to each of you. So just lean in and celebrate where you've been. Rediscover the things about you that maybe you never had a focus on. Instead of focusing on what you can't do, instead of focusing on what you're afraid of, instead of focusing on there's just like this feeling like the reason that most of us don't embrace wealth or can't sustain wealth, the reason that most of us don't embrace love and can't sustain loving relationships is because we're afraid of what comes with it. We're afraid of being seen. We're afraid of being hurt. We're afraid of being misunderstood. We're afraid of people using us. We're afraid of all these things. So it's not that we're afraid or don't want the wealth, the love, the spiritual enlightenment, I guess you could say, whatever it is. It's almost like we have to move through the different levels and break through. I have the yak here. That's a very, very sacred animal in some cultures and traditions. But I'm seeing the yak, or maybe it's the ram for some of you. Maybe you're a Taurus or have Taurus heavily in your chart. We are busting through head first with our horns, busting through the limitations of the fears that are actually standing in the way of you fulfilling, embodying, and having those things. And that's what 2025 was for, to help you shed all these things, to give you the strength, the power to be like the yak or be like the ram and bust through these false illusionary identities of you being afraid. And yes, I know it might be from your experiences of the past, but the past is in the past. The past is the past. That was then and this is now. And it's a different energy and you're a different person. So look at it from that aspect. Every day is a new day. Every month is a new month. Every year is a new year. And you're not who you were yesterday, last month, the beginning of 2025. You're a different person, whoever this message is for, and you know it. So the yak is showing me just busting through these barriers that are actually quite simple for you. It just feels like it's a lot because that program was run on repeat for I'm hearing for decades. That's the only reason why it feels some friction. Now they want to talk about this week's energy really, really briefly. And when I looked at my timer there, it's at 24:44. So 444 might be your number, but they're doubling it up. Gemini 2, show two people with the 444 on both sides. 444 on your masculine, 444 on your feminine, and 3 4s is 12, and 3 4s is 12. And what is 12? It's the combination. And if you put 12 by 12, it's 144. I know everybody attunes to that differently. The chosen, 144 DNA strands. There's all these different perspectives on it. So utilize a perspective that works for you specifically. They're illuminating that for a reason, because it's both sides. This energy may bring some friction, but friction is always for evolution. These are always the points where we get to observe something that aided in creating a pattern, and we get to transcend it, arise above it, move beyond it. I'm hearing utilize the yak during the next coming weeks, the spiritual energy that you have access to, the guides who are willing to guide you, the aid and support of the divine, the strengthening of the spiritual energy of divinity that we all have access not only to touch and connect with, but to embody, to help guide us on our journey. Yes, you are all creators, but you all have helped to create. It's time that we all started using this on a greater expansive level, in a real, everyday, tangible way, calling on the divine to guide us, searching for, I'm hearing searching. One of you feels like you've been searching for yourself in the rubble of your life. You've been searching for yourself in the shift of the identity in the liminal spaces. But notice that it's you that's searching for yourself. You don't need to search for yourself. You need to sit with yourself, whoever this is. Oh, that's very strong. This is for somebody who's always going outside of themselves and looking to other things. You've been searching outside yourself, but we're asking you and trying to illuminate for you a different perspective. It's you that's searching for you. See how much sense that? The paradox I'm hearing. You have been searching for you, but it's you who's been searching for you. So do you really need to search for you, or do you need to sit with you? That's the guidance for somebody on here. Oh, Spirit, you are so good. They're saying go back to the greater year. I feel like this is a little bit all over the place, but quite frankly, friends, this is the weaving, and I trust that you all are so intelligent and so highly attuned that you are able to pinpoint what's for you. And I also know that you're all capable of being able to discern when something isn't for you, and maybe just an observation for you, or something you can take in and make place in your everyday life at another given moment in time. You are all that connected here in this beautiful YouTube community. So I'm hoping to support you all through that on your journeys with this divine guidance that always comes through. And Syrian energy is so strong right now. And I'm here, oh, I have the Dogon tribe, who charted the stars far before the astronomers and the scientists of man did. That is the connection we speak to, the universal wisdom, the access. The stars can chart many things, and the meaning that we give those charts is what allows us to guide us. But this moment in time, the current energy landscape, the current collective outlay of the cosmic paths that are aligning was already foretold. It has been for millennia. This has all been written. It's all been written, friends. And right now, we are living it. We are living what has been written, not because it's fate or we don't have control. Oh, the Dogon tribe is saying, and this was written for all of you to empower you to become the writers yourselves. And that is, quite frankly, the key. And I feel like the name Frank is coming through with that as well. Quite frankly, I felt like quite frank. So Frank is coming through. You might see that name on a license plate. You might love a song by somebody named Frank in some way. Somebody might mention it in a conversation that you just happen to pick up on that has nothing to do with you and experience the clean-on of it. Maybe your name is Frank. Maybe Frank is in your name. Take it how it resonates, friends. That's just a mini confirmation for somebody on here. And I'm also hearing somebody's loved one. I'm hearing a brother. This is a sign for you, because you're going to catch this sign in the very near future to let you know I'm here, you're being held, and I am guiding you. This is what we have access to, friends. So this year, as we close out the year of the snake, which has been all about shedding skins, it's been all about arising in our more truer nuances of the self. And in addition, we're stepping into the Chinese New Year of the horse, which is incredibly expansive, freedom kind of an energy, sovereign, just being all of you and the freedom to be you. And it's exciting times. All of this has just been, it's been such an exciting unfoldment over the last few years. And they're saying you are all being enfolded. So I used an unfoldment over the years, and they're saying an enfoldment. So enfoldment, just to be very precise. There's an unfoldment of energy around each and every one of us in the collective as we move through this great shifting time and through this full moon and through this balancing. Oh, it's so good. The energy just feels so expansive, friends. Let me know if you've been feeling that too. I'm going to close this out right here. So I will leave that with you. If you feel called for a private session, you want to take some of our courses, whether it's the dimensions of you, looking at the blueprint map of how realities are created and understand your life thus far to propel you onto these new pathways, you can check out the Dimensions of You course. You can explore the art of channeling, where we go deep into not just the quantum mechanics and science of channeling, but also the refinement with Syrian energy and ancient wisdom that really refines it, supports it, and anchors it. If you want to check that out, you can find that on my website as well. 2026 private sessions. In the next 24 hours, I will be opening the 2026 sessions. So if you feel called to book a private session in the next 24 hours, you will be able to access that. The link to my website and the private sessions and the courses is in the pinned description box below, as well as in the video description box for you. I cannot wait to see you here on the next YouTube session, inside my courses, or in a private session. Until next time, beautiful souls.